Well, as Nigeria steadily inches closer to the 2027 general elections, the recent by-elections have once again brought the electoral umpire, INEC, under the spotlight, beyond the winners and losers. And these polls have raised deeper questions about credibility, transparency, and public confidence in our democratic process. The All Progressives Congress secured a majority of the seats in Saturday's by-elections conducted across 16 federal and state constituencies in 12 states. The elections held to replace lawmakers who died, or resigned after the 2023 general elections were marred by reports of vote buying, of course, and of course, violence and irregularities. But both the APC and the People's Democratic Party have called on INEC to cancel by-elections in Kano, Shanono, and of course, Bagwai, Gari constituencies, citing malpractices and intimidation. Well, another litmus test for INEC's electoral integrity. We'll take a closer look at the outcomes of these by-elections and examine whether INEC has passed or is still struggling with the ultimate test of integrity on the road to 2027. And just like as we saw in the Nigerian Tribune, where it said that voters' turnout seems to be declining, after 26 years. What could be responsible for voter participation to decline? So sad, Nigeria, my fatherland. Well, discussing this with me in the studio, starting from my immediate left, I have the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Edo State in Media and Strategic Communication. He is also a politician, and he is Benson Odia. Big thanks for joining, Benson.
God bless you, Mr. Phillips, and good morning, viewers.
And next to Benson is another tornado. I don't know how you describe him. Well, he is Shadrach Udugbai. He is the former SA to the governor of Edo State.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Philip. Good morning, my good people of Edo State. It's a pleasure being here once again.
Well, each time you step into the studio, I must always say, I am the referee. So we must make sure that the outbursts, doesn't go beyond this roof.
Thank you very much.
All right, joining me via Zoom to disturb your sleep a little bit from the United States, I have a social media influencer and, of course, a political analyst in the person of Ahmed Tinubu. Good to have you join. Sorry, in the person of Ahmed Momodu. Well, you are already having your name mimicked in that. Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning, Philip. I'm glad to be associated with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I greet my co-panelists and the viewing public in general. It's a pleasure to be invited once again to share my views. Thank you very much.
Well, that seems to my mind a prophecy. Maybe you'll be a president someday. All right, quickly, I've also been joined by another, a very, very seasoned public affairs analyst, a legal practitioner, in the person of Damisa Itote, joining me via Zoom from Abuja. Good morning, Damisa.
Good morning, Mr. Phillips. Good morning, panelists, and great viewers. A pleasant morning to you. Thanks for having me, Mr. Phillips.
All right, so let's set the stage ready as it is already, and let's get your thoughts, Benson Odia. We've had the by-elections, it's come and gone, but it leaves a test, on our test boards as regards how it went. Some have said that this again is a test to show if INEC is really, an independent electoral umpire, and of course to also show if the credibility of 2027 elections will see the light of the day. What are your thoughts on how it went?
Thank you. You see, I have discovered that in this country, the opposition party, when they win, the election is credible. But if they lose because of their maladministration and based on in their time, they were not able to, the mandate that was given to them, they were not able to just oppose, and they were not able to utilize it by way of dividends of democracy. And you will now see that they start casting aspersion on the umpire. There is no time in Nigeria that Nigerians will wake up and commend INEC for a job well done. Nigeria, we have that political culture of blame, whether the election is free, of fair, or whatever. Like in the last election on Saturday, you see the card reader function optimally at the level of Edo Central District. And the turnout was impressive. And when you are talking of voters apathy, at the level of ASAM, it was there was a very significant increase. If you look at the election that brought in the governor as a senator, as it were, only the vote that came from East and West, only what my party, the APC, scored in East and West was the vote both the APC, PDP, and the Labour Party shared in 2023 during the general elections. So at the level of ASAN, the political participation has increased. And if you look at the results, APC scored over 105,000 as against 15,000 for the PDP and 1,000 something for the ADC. See, it is not a magic. It is not because of one thing or the other. It is because of the good work of His Excellency, Senator Monday Okpebholo, aka Akpakomisa. That is why you see the ASAM people, for the first time over 25 years, they have unanimously agreed to support their own. Before now, even while we were having the likes of Aneni and others, there were still a kind of division. But because we, the ASAM people, were a kind of stagnant, we were marginalized over the years. It took us since, in this present dispensation, Fourth Republic, since 1999, not just since 1999, since Edo State has been created in consonance with the law of the Federation, no any ASAM person has become governor. It has been on rotation between Edo North and Edo South. Edo South has been deputy governor for 16 years, while Edo North has been deputy governor for 16 years, and Edo South has also been governor for 16 years. Edo North has also been governor for 16 years. Both Edo North and Edo South, they have been governor and deputy for 16 years respectively. And with the ASAM people, we have never been opportune to even be deputy or even governor, even SSG within this period. The political comatose and the political imbroglio that have bedeviled the state in the past is as a result of politics we are not being played in consonance with global best practice.
But should it be about, wait, you still have the floor, but should it be about rotation or competence?
Yes, it's about competence. And it's about, it's not competency, it's not, I as a psychologist, a political scientist, you don't measure competence or intelligence based on speak big grammar. In APC and in Edo State today, we believe in you talk less and you more work. You can see today what is happening in Edo State. Edo State is becoming a construction hub. If you go to Eastern Land, there are roads that we have been where you see big signboard.
But don't derail from the topic. Don't derail from the topic.
Where you see big signboard, this place is a federal road. Please bear with us. Today, those signboard has been removed by the Akpako rescue.
Yeah, it's about the by-election.
The by-election issue, it is because, as a result of the good governance, because of the dividends of democracy, because of what the governor is doing for the people of Edo State. It's not only peculiar to Eastern Land. You can also see what translated in Ovia Federal Constituency. How Omosede Igbinedion dislodged the PDP candidate. It was a march down, and it's an attestation of the fact that the governor of Edo State is doing well.
Okay, well, we also see reports, even if we are the governor, we also say that a lot of this credit goes to the president. It shows that the policies, of his administration, they are really working well. But let's get your thoughts on the outcome of the by-election, Shedrack.
First of all, it's not proper for me to sit down and allow half-truths and outright lies to be spewed into public. So I quickly want to say, I don't want to attack what my brother said personally, so I don't damage his personal reputation. Well, first of all, he didn't speak like an SSC to the governor. He spoke like an SSC to the ASAN people. He made some business allegation to say the ASAN has never produced, the governor has never done this. But they say when it was Bender State, Edo and Delta together, Bruce Ali from Edo Central, he was pre-governor. After that, we know what happened when Professor Sarime Osubo became governor. And we know how persons in Edo South and Edo North worked hand in hand, Governor Gordon Obasanjo in particular, to ensure that the ASA agenda is a truth. And then when he talk about this, so that issue of wanting to polarize the party to say, that one is particularly out of space. Then he spoke about INEC being good, INEC being sound, that INEC worked well, Beaver worked optimally. It was not up to 5 hours into the election when Monday Okpebolo reported on the Punch newspaper that the Beavers didn't work, that the election is slow, and he struggled to get accredited in his own unit when he went. It came out in national dailies. So the idea to now say that it was just the partisan, the opposition that was crying that INEC didn't work well is far from reality. You can go and fast check all of those details. Because a governor cannot be said Beavers didn't work, and the SSA say Beavers worked. That's an error in communication. But beyond all of that, we saw what happened in this 2027 by-election, 2025 by-election, was just a microcosm of the larger macrocosm. It was what they had conceived. It was an ample opportunity for the cronies, the surrogates of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to attempt to practice what they have preached. They attempt to, we saw candidates being abducted. A candidate in his own election being abducted and taken into a hostage, and after the election be released. We saw the mass deployment of vote buying because they have weaponized poverty. Bola Ahmed Tinubu having resumed in last year, in 2023, weaponized to ensure that the average Nigerian cannot think beyond the food he needs to feed himself, by ensuring that the major requirement for survival is heightened. After weaponizing poverty, they ensured that the institutions of Nigerian democracy they were practically destabilized, destroyed beyond recognition. To know that INEC, even if this government come out today and say INEC will carry out free and credible election, nobody will believe, because they are so indoctrinated in legality and impunity. So they say that nobody can have, even if you say Obi will win, the question is that we know Obi will win. Will his vote count? INEC today, you will go to INEC to collect certified true copies of results. The word results you collect, when you hold it together and you put it together with the local government coalition, you will tell them these certified true copies you are giving to us. The numbers in the word is not the same as the one in the unit. They'll say, now that's why you are going to court. You go and prove it, they're not here. INEC has become very, very responsible. If you go beyond that, we see the mass deployment of state resources, mass deployment of the institutions of government, the police, the DSS, the military men. They were mightily used. It was not an issue of might is right, that wherever you like, you can bully people to submission. In Edo Central, you know, was speaking, I just laughed. Since the return of democracy in 1999, Edo Central has never produced up to 70,000 votes. Can go and fact check. It's always between 65,000 and 60,000. But guess what? In this last by-election, when there was no voters turnout, only Monday Okpebolo's candidate got 105,000. Now this was saying, put all the votes together, they had about 125,000 persons coming out to vote in Edo Central. That's half of what they've always gotten. And I began to ask, is that people went to wake your dead ancestors to come out from the grave and bring their PVC and come and cast their vote? In an election where it's mad with irregularity, they keep, no, people who can lie. I saw results of social media. And then when somebody brought a result that they had 600 voters for 600 votes for APC. And I said, okay, if 600 votes for APC, I'm not arguing with you. Go and bring the results that you had in the just concluded 2024 gubernatorial election. Let us see how many people came to vote in this your polling unit. If they are up to 300, I will quit politics. They come out, it's shameful when people now begin to celebrate crime and criminality. When young men now want to focus on illegality, as long as it favors them. But I tell them that many of them are progressing in error. In time past, when politicians were rigging elections, they were doing it in secrecy. They were hiding. Even if you catch and say, oh, you are rigging, they will deny that they are not. That result is not their doing it. But you see this useless set of youths we have today, they will go and rig election, bring it to social media, and begin to defend it and begin to celebrate the clueless they did. And they begin to wonder why the leaders are not taking them seriously. It was supposed to just say that even among criminals, there is honor. That is to say, if I want to go and steal and I want you to join me to steal, I will first of all believe that you will not steal from me. Even among thieves, there must be some level of trust. You are going to an election, you are working for your party leader, and you are behaving like you don't have any scruples of virtues, no commitment to the democratic values, and you say you want to grow, and you think all of us in this state, we are not watching. I think tomorrow you will clean us off and go and bring people in those that will now work and vote for you. It's very irritating. I watch them, they just mad themselves, they destroy their political career before it even begins. By and large, whether you like it or not, what Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown is some level of desperation. But let them make no mistake about it. The erroneous thinking to say that since they're able to bully people to submission, they're able to show force, and he's shouting, Mondo Kwebulu, they voted for Mondo Kwebulu is not the ballot. The person they brought cannot campaign, cannot come on ITV and make 10 statements without one grammatical error. I dare say, if Joseph Ikpia can come on this chair that is seated and make 5 consecutive statements and does not make one grammatical error, I will start supporting APC. These people do not have the requisite capacity to offer the basic requirement to good governance. And yet, they begin to use this show of force. Many people today, they find it very easy to, so these Eastern persons, they find it very easy to identify Mondo Kwebulu. Mondo Kwebulu have played strong dedication to ethnic politics. The appointments, many of them are skewed towards the Eastern region. Even the infrastructural development. The ones he's doing in Edo South are the ones that are white elephant project that is being used to gulp and steal resources. You see this one, the flyover at Namapak, the other flyover that is non-existent, that 25% have been paid out. All of those ones are done to steal money from government. The only place is doing some form of changes, some form of democratic, some form of work that creates, okay, this man has some level one. He's in a land that extends on village road trying to open up a place, which is fine. In a donut, nothing is happening. So when it begins to make it look as though it is easy for any someone to support Mondo Kwebulu, whether in PDP or APC, because just feel like he's supporting our brothers. Our brothers are celebrating. So don't that one should not be a basis of the engagement.
All right.
When we try to calculate, what I try to say most times in a summary, that the issue of that Nigeria needs to be strategically repositioned for good governance. This thing we do every 4 years and call it election cannot bring home the dividend of democracy because the politics is skewed against governance.
Okay.
For you to return back as an incumbent, it is no longer a yardstick of whether you perform or not. It's not an issue whether you can fight and drag the mandate, irrespective of the opinions of the people.
All right, let's get your thoughts, Damisa Itote. Some have said that, the aspect of arresting candidates ahead of the election, and of course, even on election day, like what has been alleged in this by-election, is poignant to democratic justice. And again, what do you make of this, most especially as it is being said that, the winning of this constituencies by the All Progressives Congress is as a result of the, applauding of the policies of Ahmed Bola Tinubu as a president in all of this by Nigerians.
Okay, thank you very much once again, Mr. Philip. Whenever I appear on this platform, I like to be very constructive in my engagement, and I like to preach potent and stronger institutions as against strong men. I do not discuss individuals, rather I discuss policies. Now, for democracy to succeed, voters must have trust, implicit trust in the electoral process and in the electoral umpire. So it is even more important to have trust, confidence in the electoral process than voting, because it is the trust that you have in the process that will compel you, that will give you the necessary impetus to go and queue, pick up your ballot and cast it. That is what I understand by strong institution. So, but if you look at what is going on now, you discover that there is a low turnout, there is a voter apathy across all of the constituencies during the by-polls of last weekend. In Edo Central specifically, I heard is about 22%. That is only 22% of people coming together to elect their representative. So when you juxtapose these figures with what we have in our neighboring countries or in Africa, other African countries, you begin to feel very uncomfortable with the position of INEC as presently constituted. In Ghana, they record between 60 to 70% of voter turnout. Same as Kenya, even when they have challenges that are similar to ours, they still record higher percentage of voter turnout. The reverse is the case with us here. Why? Because Nigerians do not believe in their electoral umpire. So how do we now achieve that? First, we must look at the electoral process. In the process of looking, we must look at the electoral process and look at the electoral laws, the electoral jurisprudence, the legal framework The legal framework, it is the legal framework that will guarantee a process that is transparent, credible, and fine, just, and the problem will persist.
Well, we sincerely apologize for the still
We
pictures.
will not make progress. What do I mean by that? We should be looking at reframing our electoral jurisprudence to incorporate electronic voting.
We sincerely
At the
apologize for the
polling unit,
distortions.
it will reflect. By the time you vote at the polling, it will reflect naturally. Instead of voting at the polling unit, then you now have human interference, moving it to the ward collection. From ward collection, it gets to the local government collection, and in between the transition from the polling unit to ward collection and all of that, the result is tampered with. That is the problem we are having, and that is why lawyers are finding it very difficult to so I find it very difficult to put some of these cases in court because of the problems of human interference at the polling unit. So my take is that look, we must look at our laws. Let us have electoral reforms that meet the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians, so that Nigerians can have the confidence to come out and vote on election day. That is what that is my position.
Okay. Thank you so much, Damisa. Let's get to you, Ahmed Mamadou. Now, there have been issues about this voter turnout or voter apathy, in this by-election. And again, some have said that this again shows that, the electoral process under the electoral umpire seems to be diminishing rather than improving. And there's this usual statement credited to the president, of course, members of the ruling party, where they say, if you are not satisfied, go to court, which gives an impression that there seems to be an executive influence on the electoral umpire and even the court. What do you have to say in that, Ahmed?
So again, let me thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to join the discussion at this very crucial stage of national development. It's interesting to note, let's try and bring the temperature down. When the president refers to go to court, he is not, there should not be any imputation of executive interference. What he's simply saying is that the next stage, if there is any distrust of the system, is to take your case to court and have the court adjudicate, so that we bring tempers down. We don't allow people to take laws into their hand. That's a simple reference that he's making. If you are dissatisfied with the outcome of the result, the next place to go is to the courts. It's a simple thing. So, going to what you are saying, where are we currently in the electoral process? There's a lot that is desired. We are hoping that things will be getting better, but voter turnout and voter apathy are a direct consequence of what is going on in the country. There's a level of poverty and a level of discomfort that people are struggling to relate their votes to their daily lives. And that's what you see in voter turnout. There's nothing wrong or nothing shameful about it. It's simply the consequence of choice. What is more important in their lives? Should they go and vote, or should they go and look for their daily bread? And then when you find people not coming out to express themselves, we must differentiate these things. That's not to say that INEC is not doing a proper job. That's not to say that INEC is failing. That is to say that the institutions of state are either not dragging people out, asking them to come and perform their civic responsibility properly, or there is voter apathy because there is no interest in the elections. All elections are local. And what we saw recently is a local election. So those are the constituents of the minutest representation of government. And the people are coming out to say, this is the people or this is the person that we want. So you cannot compare that kind of voter turnout to national elections or state elections, etc., etc. Having said that, there is still a level of apathy that needs to be addressed. People are showing their dissatisfaction with the electoral process by not participating fully. And these are issues that need to be addressed. How? We need the politicians to come out and engage people more. They need to be more involved in their daily life so that they see and they understand the interface between voting and the results of those votes. Yes, people are disgruntled. Yes, there's voter apathy, but there's much that can be done to improve it. And we need to keep on educating and encouraging our people to come out and make their choices known. The elections in Edo State recently are simply a reflection of the previous votes of the people in those areas. The current governor was replaced, former current deputy governor too was replaced, and those are their strongholds. So to see them win election, I don't think anybody should be raising any eyebrows over that. That's just a natural consequence of success. The governor is successful, he has moved, and he's being replaced by another person. Deputy governor is successful, and he has moved, and their people are happy. That's what you've seen. So even if you say in 1974, they were 50,000 and now they are 200,000, of course they will come out because their son is the governor. They want to come and show that they are happy. They want to come and felicitate with him and make sure that he's replaced by somebody of their choosing. So there's nothing wrong with any of this. We should always try and impugn the purest motive before we go for the most sinister one. Yes, there's a lot that is wrong, but some things are simply explained by the reality on ground. Governor Okpebolo is very successful, and his people are trying to encourage him by choosing a successor and coming out to vote accordingly. And so too is the deputy governor. So I don't see why at this point in time we'll be saying, oh, INEC is doing this or that. This is a natural consequence of the success of those two highly successful individuals. And their people are proud and happy for them. So that is, in my view, is the reflection of the people of Edo State and those constituencies in particular. Let's not make it more than that.
Well, Ahmed, you still have the floor, but there's this aspect about the alleged arrest of, the opposition by government agencies ahead of the election and even on the day of election, arresting political party candidates, the opposition party. Don't you see that as poignant to democratic justice?
You use the word alleged, and to the extent that we are still alleging these actions, let us still act on the side of caution. I condemn in its entirety, in no small means, I condemn completely any attempt to either mute the opposition, sidetrack the opposition, or bully the opposition. That has no place in a democracy that we are trying to build. But having said that, we need to get to the root of the matters that we are discussing before we are able to talk intelligently. As for now, it is still an education. Hopefully, when in fact all of the facts emerge and we are able to find out exactly what transpired, we can come back and have a more enlightening conversation. But at this point in time, let us leave it as a mere allegation and try and understand that we are not in possession of all the facts to have a proper discussion on that.
Okay. Let's get to you, Benson. There's this negative trend vote buying that characterized the constituencies, noticed in most of the constituencies. It seems INEC does not have a way around it, or the managers of the election seem not to have a way around it. What do you have to say in that regard?
Before we answer a question, I want to quickly come to him based on...
You want to react?
I want to react a little. You see, when you are talking, you don't just accuse, you say that the president has impoverished the electorate or whatever. See, let me tell you something. What is happening in this country today is as a result of a global economic meltdown. It's not only peculiar to this country. I want to say this, and I will always say it.
As a result of global economic meltdown solely?
It's not
Are you saying solely?
It's not only in Nigeria. I'm only talking about the economic that is things are hard or whatever. It's not only peculiar to this country. Let me come in this way. If you are in this country, you don't have a farm, you don't have a job, you are not a service. It's either you are a service provider, you are skilled, you have something you are doing. You like those of us who farm, who do some other petty business to support
multiple streams of income.
Of course, we will know. People like us will not be complaining. Forget about the political appointment. That one is just yesterday, as you know. those of us who are entrepreneurs, who also go into fish farming and other mixed and pastoral farming, we will not be complaining. Why? Because the farmers are making money in this dispensation. So for you to say the president has impoverished poverty, the reforms which some other presidents over the years they don't have the political will and the political sagacity to implement.
So what you are saying that whoever is poor is his or her fault?
Of course.
And not the government of the day.
Government, there is no part of the world where government will share money, where government will make you rich. Those who are rich today go and find out.
Okay.
It has a lot of their...
Doesn't government have a role to improve the lives of the citizens?
Of course. And this government is doing well in terms of that aspect. With the small
improving the lives of the citizenry.
Of the citizenry, yes.
As regards making them prosperous?
Of course.
Can you outline?
Good. Today in this country, we have the small and medium scale enterprise development agency.
We've never had it before?
I want to tell you, under this dispensation, a lot of grant has been given to graduates. Graduates who just finished their NYSC, who are into 1 or 2, 3 petty business. Across the federation, many people in this city and in this state and even in my local government are beneficiary. We also have some other grant by the federal government or by the poor of the poorest across the country. That is by wayside.
Okay.
But for the question you ask about
vote buying,
you discover that the issue, as I will always say, in this country, where you say we as a country have leadership problem. To me, we have followership problem. Because if you look at the issue of vote buying, it has to be something of a conscience of you that is an eligible voter. Let me tell you something. There are some persons at the polling booth. If you like, tell them that you want to give them 100,000 naira. They will not listen to you. They will go straight to go and vote for their conscience. At the end of the day, they will go away. And they are not interested in the peanuts you want to share. Peanut that cannot cook a pot of soup in consonance with the economic realities of the day. The thing is that we, as Nigerians, we are not patriotic. And that is the reason why politicians have been able to cajole us and bamboozle us and ridicule us.
So you are stopping the blame game on the tables of the voters?
Excuse me, yes. Let me tell you something.
And not on those who give the bribe.
I'm coming. You see, let me tell you something. I don't see any politicians that would be bold enough to call me and say, come and vote for NEROC, come and vote for SDP. I want to give you 10,000, I want to give you 20,000. Why? Because I am not a hungry person. As a political scientist, and I know what is good. And I come to the polling booth to exercise my civic responsibility, my franchise. Before leaving home, I'm already convinced. I've already weighed the aspirants and the candidates of both political parties. I have already seen their antecedents and their pedigree.
So you cannot be cajoled?
No. So the issue is, it boils down on the electorate.
Okay.
And the National Orientation Agency,
okay, the
civil society organizations,
okay,
they have a lot of role to play in terms of sensitizing and giving orientation to the electorate. If you look at it, our societal norms, beliefs, and attitude, it has gone into extinction. People in this country today, most people, that patriotism is not there.
Okay, thank you.
Must you give me money before I will elect a leader?
Thank you. You said it all. You said it all. Can you, do you say you concur to what he said? Or what's your position?
I will not want to even waste my energy to react to what my brother has to say, because most of the things say they are just, the arguments are neither here nor there. Only of them are misguided. It's an issue of education and orientation. I believe as he's in government now, when he gets closer, he will be able to understand the language of government and the position of government in the scheme of things. Let me focus on the more germane issues, the issues of the INEC, and then some of the things that needs to be done before 2027, so that we're able to at least have an election that will be a reflection of the yearnings and desires of the Nigerian people. You know, we can come all around here and make some noise and crack our Joe talk, make some business allegations, things that cannot be associated, but it does not take the truth from reality. You know, my mom even said the fact that once people were adopted, but let us go and get the fact of the matter before we come and discuss it. All kind of rubbish talk statements that you want. People were arrested on the day of the election, where they should be mobilizing and casting their vote. You go and catch them and take their position that you have investigation. When it's like after 4 hours, you release and say, oh, nothing was found. We thought it was a report that you had guns, and we leave it to go. Then when they now release you now, which case do we now want to substantiate? A man was arrested by police. What is the allegation there? Did he come out to say he does not know the police station they took him to? You know, APC are very good at deceiving Nigerians. That's their stock in trade. But first of all of this is possible because of 3 major things they've done to the Nigerian people. First of all, like I said before, without missing words, they have weaponized poverty. Nigerians were poor, but now poverty is now used as a tool. Because people now leave their house. Before then, when you go to polling unit, you see them sharing money. People are scared, so we can scatter the money, we can destroy the vote, we can do all of that. Now, people go there and they ask, who is sharing money, how much are you sharing, how much are you sharing?
Did it start with the APC or the PDP?
No, because it was, when you say it started with the APC and the PDP, when it was the People's Democratic Party turn, they said they were vote buying. It was not Jonathan not lose. If he bought vote, why did he lose? I'm telling you this one now. Then there was poverty, but it's not as deepened as we have it now. The economy was bad, but now it's in comatose.
Meaning that you also passed the blame on your party?
No, when I say the People's Democratic Party made an effort to reposition the Nigerian democracy, we're failing forward.
How?
But now, what we see is that Nigeria is galloping backward. You cannot tell me that the level of hardship we faced under Buhari, the kind of insecurity and the collapse of the Nigerian economy is the same we faced during Jonathan. When Buhari left, we were saying, let us go back to the era of Jonathan. That's what some Nigerians, even to date, if anybody can give us back the economical feasibility, the statistics, and the situation we had when it was Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, when it was Musa Yar'Adua, when it was Obasanjo, is far better than any of these things we have now. The level of borrowing, indebtedness, inflation, insecurity, economic hardship is untold in the history of Nigeria. And by and large, the way and manner they peddling governance shows that they do not have the conscience, the interest of the average Nigerian man at heart. First of all, beyond that weaponization of poverty, there is what we call a wide, illiterate public. The average Nigerian is not just poorly educated, but they have near absence of political education. They appear not to know what is required of them. Because of the system of government we practice, what we practice here is democratic government, a system of government that gives power to the people. But when the people do not know that they have this power, when the people are not educated, they are not enlightened enough to hold the tenets of democracy and instruct the leaders to do good, it becomes a worrisome challenge. Let me tell you, what we have in this country is that because of our long history of monarchical governance, where we had our obas, our emir, that thing appears to have entered into the spirit. That is why even when Christianity came, people still approached their religious leaders as though they were obas and emirs. They still give them that reverence of God. That is the same attitude we also carry into democracy. When you see a governor or a House of Assembly member, people kneel down to greet the House of Assembly member. They kneel down because they don't see them as a servant. In the Western world, people see their leaders as their servants, whom they mandated to go and offer development to them. But in Africa, we see them as our God that we need to worship and reverence so that they can bless us and improve our life. So it is practically impossible for the average Nigerian. In Nigeria, people fight for their God. But when it's not time, when their rights are violated, they pray to God for their rights and they do not fight. The few who understand that they need to fight for their rights, they fight for their rights without the knowledge of their duties and responsibilities to the society. And when they fight, they do not fight with respect to other persons whose rights are in minority. So the people, first of all, is a critical issue that we need to address. The Nigerian electorate, they are poorly informed, poorly educated, and there's a near absence of political education. If you go to INEC, you know the issue of INEC, I told you about this issue of political reforms, it's going to take a huge thing. First of all, INEC, when you think about INEC, first of all, has not been able to show sincerity of purpose. People have even clamored that INEC should be taken away from the executive arm and be handed over to the NJC, the Nigeria Judicial Commission, the Nigeria Judicial Council, so that they will superintend over the structuring. INEC will now be restructured for independence and integrity. Whereas, if you this other the man who spoke that time made reference to electronic voting, we have never gotten there. What we are saying is that let the result after we vote. Because for me, there is no need for local government coalition. There's no need for state coalition. What will happen is that after we vote in the polling units and the results are collated in the world, they are updated immediately. Because it's not an issue of plus and minus. All
right, the pendulum will swing back to you because that's where we are now. I'm giving you a minute and 30 seconds each for our guests to ventilate. What do you see as what the electoral umpire, INEC, can do to make the electorate have confidence in the electoral process and the umpire itself? Damisa Itote, can you take that stage?
Okay, in a few seconds, the truth is that it is not the voting that is democracy. It is the counting that is democracy. So when you vote and your vote does not count, it is not democracy. It is when your vote begins to count that we are okay, we are there. And that is why I advocated for the electronic voting machine, EVM. You see, India, of over 1.4 billion people, billion population, adopted EVM, electronic voting machine, since 1990. And in 2013, they adopted what they call VVT, that is voter verification and transmission. So, to the central server. So in that central server, you have all of the.
We sincerely
Trickling
apologize
in.
for the distortions in that. Well, continue, Damisa, if you can hear me.
Okay. I don't know where you got what I was trying to say. So until we begin to look at electronic voting, by doing away with all of those, we'll not arrive at a just, transparent, and fair electoral process. So we must begin to agitate. We must demand true electoral reform. But unfortunately, that time is running out because 2027 is already here. Because INEC on its own has failed to conduct elections, these by-elections, timely. Why? Because our laws are silent on when to conduct by-elections. The constitution is silent. Section 28 of the Electoral Act only provides for by-elections to be conducted and kept quiet as to when we should conduct by-elections. And that's why you see that for almost 1 year, 2 years, by-elections are not conducted until now. So it leaves people lacking representation when by-elections are not conducted timely. So electoral reform must be made to accommodate by-elections timeously within a time frame. 3 months, 6 months, you conduct your by-election instead of waiting perpetually, for almost 2 years, sometimes 18 months before by-elections are conducted.
Thank you,
So we
Damisa.
demand.
Thank you, Damisa. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get your thoughts as we get closer remarks on this. Ahmed Mamadou, what do you think INEC can do to build confidence, for the electorate to build confidence in the electoral umpire and the process?
Thank you, Philip. Let me quickly address a few misconceptions that the PDP man, former SA2, the governor, Godwin Obaseki, tried to put and perpetuate as the truth. This is the simple matter of fact. Just last week, the current DG of World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, came and visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and said, these reforms are overdue and they are on course. That's what she said. Now go back, cast your mind back about 10 years ago when she was Minister of Finance under the failed PDP government that we are being told all of a sudden was the best time in Nigeria. She came out and publicly said, anybody can Google it, yes. Nigeria is borrowing to pay salaries.
Yes.
Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the same person, came out about 10 years ago and said, Nigeria is borrowing not for infrastructural development, but to pay salaries. Now, all of a sudden, you are coming out and telling us PDP was the best and all of that crap. Look, you may bamboozle people with all the big English that you and Obaseki were speaking, but our eyes are open now. Yes. The truth of the matter is that a lot of damage was done, and we cannot even see the finances. The most painful aspect for these Scrooges of the former PDP administration is this. This first election was a referendum on the failure of Godwin Obaseki as a governor of Edo State. And the painful part of it is that the Edo people came out and rejected Obaseki and his candidate. That is what they are dealing with, talking all this nonsense, left, right, and center. You are seeing progress and you are saying it's not progress. Shame on all of you. Your playbook is what you are saying. That's what Edo people should be listening to. Everything that you are saying is what you people have done. But the truth is now you have a transparent administration that was chosen by the people of Edo State, and the man is doing well.
Ahmed Mamadou, please, I must call you to order, please. This is not an avenue to castigate personalities or shame anybody, please. I asked you a question, and I said, what should the electoral umpire do to build confidence of the electorate in itself?
Well, you did not interrupt him when he was casting aspersions on the person and personality of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, governor of Edo State, and all the APC members. So please do not now tell me that it's something personal. It's nothing personal.
I just don't want you to derail or digress. I want you to go straight to the question I asked, please.
Your question is, what can INEC do? Now,
Yes.
we do have a template that is very, that is, that needs to be built on. The idea that INEC is not reflecting the will of the people is completely wrong. Most of these elections, when they come to the level of adjudication, which is the final level of anything in this country, after the elections, you go to the court will tell you, by and large, the views of the electorate is reflected in the voting pattern. And that is what you see happening.
Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of discrepancies sometimes, but
Okay.
the idea that INEC is completely failed is totally wrong.
Okay,
Look
we'll
at
come back to you,
what
Ahmed.
do you
We'll come back to
expect
you,
to happen?
Ahmed. But quickly, let's take a short break. Do stay. Thank you for being there, Esther TMI, and we are taking the closing remarks of our guests on the 2027 in view by-elections outcome, and of course, INEC's integrity on the balance. Let's get your thoughts in just 1 minute. Ahmed Mamadou, your closing remarks on what INEC should do as an electoral umpire to build confidence of the electorate in it.
So we need to more involve the civil society. We need to more involve uh, government discourse. We need to bring out even politicians to have continuous voter interactions in the form of either what do you call it, town hall interactions, where the people come out and they're able to. It's done here, where elected officials come frequently and interact with members of their voting population, and then try and find out what the policies are and where tweaks can be made. So some of these things is a developing process and they cost money, but we have to get to a point where the populace feel that it is necessary to interact with their elected officials and they have a stake in the elections. We cannot keep on saying that these elections are faulty and expect people to come out and vote. The truth of the matter is that given the resources that INEC has currently, there is a reflection of the desire of the people for those people who are elected. There's an old adage that politicians have, and most of our politicians here will agree. You can only rig for somebody that is popular. If the person is not popular, you cannot rig the election for him. I'm not condoning rigging, but I'm telling you that to simply say all of these elections are not correct and then other people won is not true. INEC is doing a good job, and we need to tell them this is what you are doing wrong, this is what you are doing right, and this is what you can improve on.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. INEC is doing a good job. That's your submission. And of course, I heard you say earlier, the decline in voters' turnout is not as a result of the policies of the government or how they view the electoral umpire, but as a result of the economic hardship. Wow. Let's get your thoughts, Benson.
Well,
As we get your closing remarks, what should INEC do to build confidence?
well, INEC, first of all, the government and the National Assembly should make a laws for INEC to be totally independent.
Oh, for now, they are not totally
No,
independent.
when I say totally independent,
No. You said for them to be totally
no,
independent, which
excuse
means
me. If you
they
look,
are not as at
excuse
present.
me, when you say independence, if you look at, it is the president that have power to appoint the INEC chairman. Isn't it? As it is in Nigeria today.
Okay.
Until we let us get to a time whereby we now have, for example, now, National Judicial Council.
Okay. An independent body rather than
to
a
appoint
political figure.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Nigeria is a democratic.
So, which means you agree that with the way it is now, there seems to be a hobnob, there seems to be a romance of the executive with the
No,
electoral umpire.
that is not the issue. The issue is that we must operate in lines with global best practice. We are copying America, and we should also make sure that all our institutions function optimally. And number two, the National Orientation Agency, they should live above board by way of sensitizing, cultural reorientation of the electorate, and also mobilize them. If the national orientation are doing their job, I think I'm not sure that there should be room for voters apathy here and there. There should be jingles that will motivate people to come out, give them political education in terms of the reason for them to come out and perform their civic responsibility. By and large, we must have a collaborative effort from members of the civil society organizations.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's get your closing remarks, but not without responding to what Ahmed Mamadou said, because he made mention of it that, you know, the decline in the voters' turnout is not necessarily as a result of the lack of confidence they have in the electoral umpire, but due to economic hardship.
You know what pleases me is that Aswelime Godalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the last election, beat Mondo Pueblo to a pulp in Edo Central. In September 2024, the people of Edo Central rejected Mondo Pueblo, even though he was a sitting senator in Abuja, despite the rigging, the money they had, and the machinations of it. He went to Ovia and also beat Dennis Idahosa to a blue black.
How does that relate to the
question? I said Aswelime Godalo dealt with both of them massively while they were in the National Assembly.
But that wasn't the question. That wasn't the question I asked you.
No, let me tell you, it was a rejection that they feel that these people, that's why they now, when they go into power, they now went to mobilize funds and they went to take the infrastructure, the state infrastructure, and they use it to bully and intimidate voters to get the kind of result that will make them feel happy that yes, they were accepted. Mondo Pueblo said it. After the court had pronounced him a governor, he came back after he still didn't feel that he was governor. When he now won his election, he now came and said, they say we stole their mandate, but people have shown now that it's not their mandate. We won 51 votes, everything, 100, 100. That is to show you that even within his heart, he still knew. After the speaker said you are the governor, he still knew there was not the governor, because the people had not said there was the governor. Let me let you know, they can yammer equality, they can lie, they can deceive the people, but the Edo people know the reality and we know the truth. Whether you like it or not, as People's Democratic Party, in one word, Ward 10, Ile Ekpoma. That word was won by Aswelime Godalo in 2024. Guess what happened in this 2025 by-election? They got 5,000 votes for APC. PDP had 0. What happened is that they had all these lions and tigers from being mobilized to the polling unit. Anybody they knew that was PDP, body and soul, they were chased back on the place. People who smuggled themselves in, who went there and voted PDP, when it was time for sorting, another person will put his hand on the ink and vote another party there to avoid the vote. And all the votes of PDP were bought into were declared void votes. Labour Party that did not have candidates in Edo Central, they had votes in the world, but PDP had 0 votes. And yet you come out and say that the election was free, fair, and credible. Edo Central has never produced over 65,000 voters. All of a sudden produced 120,000 voters in a by-election, and they say because Mondo Pueblo is being accepted over the kind of candidate they brought, a candidate that cannot define agenda. And you say we should sit down and close our hand and begin to say Mondo Pueblo's governance. See, they can continue to perpetrate illegality. They can continue to destroy the fundamentals of Nigerian democracy. But we, the people, know that this illegality cannot stand forever. A day will come, reckoning will come for the APC, both at the state level and the federal level. And the people will have a heave of relief. And that day is imminent.
Finally, Shedrack Kudubai, what should INEC do?
What INEC will do, INEC will do is elaborate. It's something that will come and see there. I will give you historical analysis on what INEC will do. There are strategic reforms. It's not one, it's not two. I can't say INEC should be independent. I will tell you how INEC should be independent. I will tell you the role the presidency will play. I will tell you the role the judiciary will play. It's not one thing I've said it many times. We will sit down in the very day, start at the beginning, we will analyze I will get electoral independence in 2027. It's not a 2-1-minute statement I will come say. I know the solution, but they are elaborate.
Okay, let's quickly get to your thoughts. You wanted to react to what he said.
It is very, very common with the PDP and their hunches to be making some unscrupulous statements. You see, what reflected on Saturday is as a result. Okay, are you now saying that we should retrogress? If we scored in the last election 36,000 votes, does it mean the people of Esaland come out en masse? They have unanimously, just the way the Kukuruku people have been supporting Oshomole. For over 30 years, Esan has never been governor. You make mention of Osumbo. Go to government house. Osumbo will never a governor because by law. And now, let me tell you, by law, consistent with the law, he talk about what 10 in Ile, the former local government chairman, Honorable Koli Saigbogun, is from that Ile, that ward, where PDP used to win. As I speak with you today, he has decamped from the PDP. Not only him, prominent other PDP heavyweight champions. They have left their party and they have decided to support their son, which is the governor. So everything that reflected, PDP, whether you take it or leave
Thank
it,
you.
you are what you suffer that day is as a result of the ineptitude and the maladministration of Obaseki. And that is why the Edo people and the Esan people in Ovia Federal Constituency,
Thank you,
they
Benson
are
Odia.
with Dennis, and where the
Thank you.
Esan people are with the governor. And
Thank you,
we have
Benson
we have
Odia.
make up our mind. We must support our son, and that is
Thank
it.
you, Benson Odia.
Can take
You've
it to
made
the
your
bank.
mark. Thank you, Benson Odia. And a big thanks for taking our time to be part of this. Benson Odia is the SSA to the governor of the state on media and communication strategy. Big thanks to you, Shedrack Udugbai, for your very erudite contribution to this. And Shedrack Udugbai was the former, special advisor to the governor of Edo State on youth affairs. Big thanks again to Damisa Itote, a very dogged human rights lawyer, legal practitioner from Abuja, Vazum. I thank you for being part of it. And of course, big thanks to you, Amen Mamodo. I must always say this, for distorting your sleep a little bit. Thanks for giving us your time. There's so much we can take.